Only God knows what's true. And anybody else who's trying to convince you what's true is just blowing shit out their ass. I can tell you what's the truth, but it's truth and what's true is not the same. Truth is just what I've witnessed. True is what God understands. I can't understand God. I'm not even going to try to pretend to know it's true. I can only observe what God gave me the 5 senses to observe. Well, maybe 6. He gave me the ability to dream. So, like I said, I got these 6 senses that I'm very limited with. And all I can bear witness is tell you what I believe is the truth. Can I tell you what is true? Are you kidding me? How the hell do I know? So when somebody said that to me the other day, they said, they said, Carl, you got to look at the YouTube video. So somebody's calling you a con man. I said, do you don't understand where the word con man came from? That's a great title to bestow upon me. He was like, what? I said, look, you guys are just getting the words manipulated. Con man means a confidence man, somebody who would build up confidence in his fellow man to pursue a certain endeavor. Usually, it was for the benefit of the confidence man. Usually, he was the guy who's beginning like a pyramid scheme. It's like he's going to get the 90%, you're going to get the 10% if you get anything at all. But to me, I tell people, it's like, look, without that confidence man, did you even have the confidence to begin with then? Did you even have that 10%? No, you would have had nothing. You would have just been a naked ape crawling around on your hands and knees on the ground. Somebody convinced you, your mom and dad convinced you to stand up and walk. Now, did they benefit from that? Absolutely. They don't want to be dragging you around with a leash. They don't want to see you crawl on your hands and knees until you're 18 years old and say, well, why didn't somebody teach me how to stand up? Well, it's a benefit for you, but honestly, for the mom and dad, it's a great benefit. Well, why don't you just wipe my ass for the next 80 years? Well, honestly, I taught you how to take a shit, take a dump because I was getting tired of wiping your ass at 3 years old. Oh, I see how you are. You built confidence in me. Yeah, you always applauded when I took another dump and wiped my ass. Yay, look what Junior did. Yay, he used the potty. Yay. Oh, what a con man. Oh, I know what they're convincing me to do. Oh, well, no more diapering and powdering? No more breastfeeding? What do you mean, no more tit in my face for the rest of my life? Oh, this is bull. Making me learn how to drink with a cup. No, I want that tit. I want it now. Oh, what a con man. My mom was such a con artist. She convinced me to drink with a cup. Yeah, she just let me hang off a tit for the rest of my life. Oh, yeah, what a bitch. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense a little bit. It's like when somebody says, well, you built up confidence in me, so I did something that I wouldn't have normally done. Yeah, absolutely. I hope I did. Right. Did I convince you to pursue it in this manner? Did I convince you to get off your hands and knees and to stand up and act like a man? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, lovely. Then I performed? Yeah, and you got a service from me? Oh, good. And now you're going to compensate me as well? Yeah, thank you. God bless you. God bless us all. Yeah, you got something, I got something. Mommy and Daddy got something, you got something. Yeah, and what's the problem? It just makes you laugh. It's like, well, you should do everything for free. Oh, really? Like your mommy and daddy did everything for free. You don't think it was a great benefit for them to teach you how to drink, or use a knife and a fork and get you off of mommy's tit so daddy could get back at the tit? You don't think dad was busting mom's balls? You got to get this little monster out of the bed. You know what? He's already 3 years old. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Why? You know why. Get him out of here. Convince him not to be afraid of the dark. I don't care what it takes. Con this guy. Con this little guy. Give him $5. Give him another lollipop. Whatever it takes. Build up some confidence in this little monster. Good. Whatever it takes for me to build up confidence in you guys. Good. Whatever it takes. So like I said, it's just like, oh, so that's a nice thing you call? Of course it is. They just try to manipulate it and try to make it sound like it's an evil thing. Now, if mom and dad were trying to convince you to, make explosives and strap them around you so you walk into the public and explode yourself, now that's different, that's just evil. But building confidence up in your fellow man, that's a wonderful thing to do. Would a centralized government say that's a bad thing to do? Of course it is, because they got their own agenda. They got their own objectives. They got their own, prerogatives. But yeah, man, I'm going to go back in the house and go ahead, Gus. You can keep talking, man. I'm going to mute myself out for a while, man. It's freezing.
All right. If you want to unmute yourself, press *6. If you want to talk about something, press *8.
Hey, Gus, I got a question about John. Yeah. Does he still get to go in front of the jury?
No, it's all done. He wrapped up Friday morning, and the prosecutor. What happened is.
Gus, wait a second. That's right. I forgot to tell you. I did tell you, but you might forget. I don't want you to forget because that was a great story. Tell him what happened about telling the jury not to disregard the pink elephant tap dancing on a stick of butter in the refrigerator. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell him that story.
Well, that's I'm going to get into, yeah. What happened is he's been out of the courtroom for a week and a half, and then Thursday comes around, Thursday afternoon, and he's got a right to testify, to speak on his own behalf. So he came in, and he took the stand, and he was about to tell his story, and the judge interrupted him and said, "Please wait for the defense to ask you a question before you speak." And John said, "I'm here to, I'm here as a man, and I'm here to." I forget what he said, but the judge kept interrupting him. So finally, John waited, and then the full.
Gus, if John is on the phone, let him tell you what the judge said. Then is John still there?
John crashed. He was exhausted.
Okay, that's okay. It wasn't, I guess, really relevant, but yeah, go ahead. You're doing good.
So the public defender asked John a question, and John said, "I can only answer that question based on the relevance it has to the sworn accusation against me. I have not seen a sworn accusation against me, so I don't know what the relevance of that question is, and I can't answer it." And so the public defender said, "Well, that's between you and the prosecutor. Can you just answer this question?" And he repeated himself 5 or 6 times, and stating it in a different way every time. That I don't know who my accuser is. I don't know what I'm being accused of. I have not seen a sworn indictment against me, accusing me of doing any harm, injury, causing anyone a loss. So he just kept repeating this, and finally, after 5 or 6 times, I guess he must have thought that he had laid it pretty well on the record, and so he decided to answer the next question.
Oh, John, wait a second. Before you finish that, Gus, I see, because the story's going to end before you get to one of the very most important things, was remember the prosecutor kept asking him, was he the defendant?
No, that's at the end of the story.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry about that. I don't remember. Usually they ask you in the very beginning, are you the man known as Sean Fall, the defendant in this case? Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, this is what happened is the public defender was asking him, because once the prosecution rested, it was time for the defense to present their case, and so the public defender went up and started asking. John had not yet been on the stand, so the public defender called John as the first witness. So John got on the stand, and these are the answers he was saying, because he wanted to make sure the record reflected that he was there to answer for himself according to common law, and I need to know what I'm being accused of. I require to face my accuser. And so eventually he started answering questions. And he might have answered maybe 8 or 9 questions, maybe 10. But at one point, 5 different times, the prosecutor objected. And I remember the first time the prosecutor says, "I object, that's hearsay." And before the judge could say sustained or overruled, John jumped right in and said, "That's right, that's hearsay. I heard that man say it, and if you think otherwise, why don't you come up here and stand under oath and you tell the court otherwise?" And the judge was trying to tell him to shut up, but John wouldn't stop. He was all over the prosecutor. And then, and I mean, this kept on going on. There was 5 times where the prosecutor objected, and John was all over him. And there was one time, I mean, he just kept on going. And he's saying to the guy, he says, "That's right. You don't want me to talk about this, do you? You don't want these people to hear the truth. You don't want them to know that I require a written accusation against me, a sworn statement, that if nobody swears to anything against me, that there's no reason for all of us to be here. And he just let loose on the guy. It was freaking beautiful. And but he kept on focusing on who's making an accusation against me, who's accusing me, what am I being accused of, and so this was a part of every one of his answers. And then he told the public defender, look, I'm not going to answer any more questions. I haven't seen a sworn statement against me. I haven't, I have no idea who's accusing me. I'm all done. I've got no reason to be here. I've been in the courtroom at the other end of the building, waiting to face my accuser. He has yet to show up. I'm not answering any more questions. And the public defender asked him 3 or 4 times to please just answer one more question. And John finally said, all right, I'm going to answer one more, but that's it. I want to see, I require to see the sworn statement of accusation against me. And so the public defender asked him a question, and it was one of the times that the prosecutor interrupted. He objected, and John let loose on him again and said, look, come up here and take the stand. Okay, you're objecting. You're saying that I'm not telling the truth. I'm under oath. I'm ready to go to prison if anything I say is not true. Why don't you come up here and bear the same liability and say what you got to say under oath? So that was pretty much.
Like I said to John, so I'm trying to help next people who might run into the same situation. It's like, look, I was courteous enough, and I didn't interfere when you talked for 11 days about what an evil, horrible monster I am. Not for one time in 11 days did I object, sustain. That's not one time did I open up my mouth when you talked. It is my turn to talk. When are you going to allow me to talk? When are you going to allow me to tell the people what I perceive to be the truth, what I bear witness to? This is what I saw. This is what I've experienced. This is what I believe. When are you going to allow my beliefs to come out to the public? There's a public forum. When are you going to allow the public to hear what I've got to say? To allow them to judge me on the merits of my beliefs? When are you going to stop calling me a liar? Look, if I believe Jesus is going to come back, he's going to come back. Why are you to jump up and tell me Jesus is never going to come back? I object. That's hearsay. It's speculation. Of course it is. Of course it is. But this is my beliefs. And you've got the right to believe what you wanted to believe and convey to these fine people. Why do I not have the capacity to convey to these fine folks over here in the jury box what I believe? Why are you keep acting so discourteous? Why are you so, consciously knowing what you're deliberately doing is wrong? You know I have the right to give my 5 minutes to the world, to let the world know what I believe. Why are you not allowing that? Why are you acting in such a dishonorable, unmanly-like act? Why are you doing that to your fellow man? Why? Why do you believe that that's a good thing to do? Explain to this jury why you believe that you've got the right to interrupt another man when he's trying to convey his beliefs to the world. What makes you think you have the right to say, stone him, throw a rock at him, shut him up, hang him? Don't let what he's got to say out to the public. Kill him. String him up. Don't let this man's the truth come out. So see, that's what I'm saying. That you don't have to actually verbatim say exactly what I'm saying. Put it in your own words, your own beliefs, get it in your own heart, and live it every day. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to tell people cut, copy, and paste what I just said. But, yeah, I understand what John was trying to do. But, yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, it's all about attitude, And, I remember when I was over there this summer, you'd be getting these phone calls, and you'd be screaming at people, and I'd be thinking, holy shit, I'm glad I'm just here fucking doing a brake job. It's all about the attitude. There was one guy you were talking to that I think he was in Nova Scotia or Prince Edward Island, something like that. And, his family's land had been taken, and they had a hearing coming up, and you laid into him. You told him, look, it's your court. You take it over. They're having a hearing. You required a jury trial, a trial by jury. And they're having a hearing, and it's not a trial by jury. It's some other bullshit hearing. You get in there and say, what the fuck are you doing having a hearing without me? I require a trial by jury. Oh, that was South Minnesota. I'm not sure what that was. Somebody, South Minnesota, just *6 if you need to unmute. But you got to mute yourself out if you guys got some background noise. So, what Karl's talking about is really, it's all attitude. It's not the specific words. There are no magic bullets. There's no silver bullets. There is no goose that lays the golden egg. It's all about you. It's all what's inside of you, and you've got to bring it out. And that's what John was doing on the stand. He wasn't taking no shit from nobody. I have a right. I'm a man. Where's my accuser? Who says I do wrong? Show me the paperwork. Show me the sworn statement. And the judge was trying to get him under control, and he wasn't going to have any part of it. And so finally, the defense attorney, the public defender, rested, and now it was time for John to go to suffer cross-examination. So the prosecutor gets up, and I'm sitting right behind this guy. He gets up, and he's got a shit-eating grin on his face, but he's not facing the jury. He's facing, his back is to the jury as he's walking across the desk. I mean, he's got this massive grin on his face, like I'm going to tear John apart. And I saw his face go from grinning from ear to ear to an absolute stone-cold face right before he turned and faced the jury. And then he goes up to the microphone and he says, good morning or whatever. And he says, are you John Fall? And John says, which one? And the guy says, I couldn't believe he said this. He says, the defendant accused in this case. And John says, I'm not the defendant accused in this case. There's no sworn statement against me. There's nobody accusing me of anything. And he says, do you have a sworn statement? Do you have, is there a plaintiff? Is there an accuser? Is there somebody, accusing me of doing some harm, injury, causing somebody a loss? And the guy just stood there dumbfounded, like he was punch drunk. And right before
Gus, hang on. I mean, you're doing great. You're passionate. I love it. But what I'm saying is, I'm going to give him a little more depth. What John should have says, I would have done the old O.J. Simpson. What's the man who died? The black guy. His attorney.
Cochran.
What's that?
Cochran.
Yeah, Johnny Cochran. I would have pulled out the old gloves. I would have pulled out a hat. If I was John, I would have had about a dozen hats. I would have said one that said Dad. Oh, he said, am I the defendant today? Let me see. I bear many titles. Let me see. Dad. No. Okay, son. Okay, grandson. No. Valued employee. No. Let me see if I got my defendant hat today. Can I bear the title of defendant at this time? Yeah, I can. If I will defend, I'll accept the title of that of defendant if I know who or what is accusing me. Because, yes, I'm the defendant. Yeah, I'll take on the person of the defendant, but you know that the defendant is a man, right? And I will defend, whatever acts I've done as a man to my fellow man. Is a man going to come forward and make a claim that I've done something, harm, injury, loss, or wrong? I said, and I'll be more than proud to wear the defendant hat because I've not done wrong in any man on planet Earth. And if any man has ever made a claim I've done wrong, believe me, I've always said I'm sorry. I've always apologized, paid forgiveness, and compensated them for their loss. At this point, no man has yet come before anybody in this tribunal, in this open forum, and made any counterclaim that by what I've done or what I failed to do has cost anybody one penny, one nickel, one farthing, one loss, one moment in time. I got my checkbook, and he should have whipped out the checkbook, and I said, I've got my checkbook here for the last 1998, begging all these people who work for this United States government to throw me a number, give me a number, and swear that this is what I owe, that I owe $58,869.17, and I will write that check out to any man from the United States government who will set forth is any man, prosecutor, any man that you brought before this court that's going to swear before this jury that I owe $58,000 or $300 million or $300 trillion to the United States government. Are you going to have any man? That's all I've been asking for. Any man to tell me exactly how much I owe. Because, Mr. Prosecutor, do you know how much I owe? And just like they said the last time we were in New England, they said, no, we don't know what he owes. So how can I fucking pay the United States government because they claim I owe something to them for all the fraud, injury, loss, damages, whatever the fuck that crazy shit they're coming up with when you won't give me a number. How can I right the wrong if you won't tell me how to right the wrong? How do you wish me to right this wrong? What do you wish of me? They don't wish anything of me. They just wish to put me in a cage. That's ridiculous. Did I throw somebody in a cage? No. Did I put somebody? No. Okay. Did my actions cause somebody to lose time with their family, to lose a year or two? Did I do any wrong? No. So then why do they wish this to do this to the man? Why? Can they do that to the defendant? Absolutely. But again, there's a dog attached to the back bumper of that truck. Again, there's a man attached to the defendant. It doesn't exist only on paper, pen, and ink. I exist in flesh and blood. I feel. I'm real. I am. And that's how he could have kind of convinced the jury as well. But no, you were doing great, man. So the prosecutor, yeah, he was shaking when we went there last time, man. He was nervous as hell when I went to the hearing.
Yep.
But like I said, I think he realized he was in a battle. And like I said, thank God John gave him a pretty damn decent answer. So you said that he prosecute. Go ahead. I'm going to mute myself out again. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, John's been down the hall, and I've been able to sit with him for the last 2 weeks. Ed's been coming down with me whenever he can. He's been there at least 3 times, maybe 4. And Vital came down with a new guy that I just met, Richard. Richard's a great guy, real nice guy, smart. And so Vital, Richard, Ed, and I have been down there. And it's, they'll tell you, it's quite a lesson to watch these guys in action and to see what's really going on and to see a lot of the things that you would never know. Like Karl just said, when he was there, he saw the prosecutor shaking, and he pointed it out to me. He says, "You see that guy's hand? Look at him." And he he's not that old of a guy. He's the lead prosecutor looks like he's in his late 30s, and the other guy looks like he's in his late 20s. And the older guy, the guy who's leading the lead prosecutor, he had a shake to him. But here's Karl writing notes, passing me the notes. I'm passing them to John, and we're sitting right behind these guys, and they have no idea, who these guys passing this, John notes, because we passed John a note, and John would then have something to say. He'd be adding stuff, changing the game, and I think that really made him nervous. And that was back in November or October. I don't recall. I think it was early November.
Do you remember how the judge obtained the seat of his position? Do you remember what John told him, that the kid had a lot of money, or his family had a lot of money? And that the kid was just obtaining that seat to try to move further up in government, like to try to eventually be like a governor, or like Rhode Island? Well, John left the show, but like I said, he was explaining who the judge was and why he's so young and how he fought his way up to the seat. But that's okay. If John's not here, I'm not going to go into it if you don't remember what the judge was all about.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I know Mark does. Mark, you're on here, aren't you? I don't know if Mark can talk. He's still at work for another half hour.
I'm here. I did some research on, you're talking about McConnell.
Yeah.
I don't know about the buying the way of the seat. I don't recall that, but I know he won a big case being appointed by Obama for against the tobacco companies, and it was a huge settlement for the. I thought it was for the state. I don't remember who he was representing, or if he was the judge at the time. But it's on Wikipedia. He won he's getting $1.2 million a year for the next 25 years.
Yeah, that was his cut for being an attorney. Right, that was how much the money the judge is making every year. He's getting an annuity every year for the settlement.
From the lawsuit, from the winning of the lawsuit, actually, from what I remember reading. It was a while ago when I read about it.
Right. So like I said, the guy's got tons of money. Like I said, he's just a lawyer. Like I said, obviously he's going to, go for the legal society because that's what makes his bread and butter. That's what actually he's going to, that doesn't have to do with liquor work for the rest of his life. So it's pretty sick when you have somebody like that who's going to be supposed to be the impartial referee. So, yeah, go ahead, Gus. And that's what people could do too. If you're ever wondering who your judges are, other people like how Gus is trying to do, like CalmInLaw or Word Nerds and stuff like that. There's other people that actually do Judgeopedia, and you could actually try to find your local judge on the internet through Judgeopedia, and people who've come before the judges, put their opinions. Is this like what's that Angie's List? Like if you got a plumber or a roofer come to your house, you want to know if he's any good. Other people in the neighborhood are supposed to give you fair warning that this guy is great or he's a Shylock or a charlatan. So some people were doing something called Judgeopedia and giving you their opinions of whether or not the guy that you're going before is going to, toss it to you straight, or does he have a hidden agenda. So obviously this guy gets $1.2 million a year from a settlement. And just like when I talked to a lawyer in this big fancy Jewish law firm in Alabama, like the richest law firm, they got like an 8-story glass building with a tree growing in the lobby, like a 70-foot tree growing in the lobby. It's ridiculous. So you go down to Montgomery, Alabama, and you say, hey, where's that office building that's got this like 70-foot tree growing in the middle of it? That's a law firm. It's like Leibowitz, Heinstein, and Cohan, whatever, law firm. So I figured, hey, they're from New York, they're Jewish. Hey, you know what? They're probably telling me the straight time of day. They ain't going to F with me. And they did. And they said, look, if we don't play ball and do exactly the way the courts want us to play, have your case end the way they want it to end, they'll overturn every single case that we've ever been involved with. And these guys we're talking to are like 75 years old. They said, every single client that we represent in the past, their case will be overturned. And every settlement that they ever got will be given back. So if this $1.25 million judge doesn't play ball and do it exactly the way they tell him to do, guess what? His ruling on his behalf could be overturned. And that $1.25 million every year that he gets could be overturned. And he could not only not get it in the future, he could have to give all the money that he got in the past back. It's really sick. It is really sick that if they don't play ball, this is what's going to happen. So, like I said, my sister started crying. It's like, I didn't think, I lived in a country like this, and oh my God, and I wouldn't believe it. I said, look, you believe from these like 70, 80-year-old Jewish guys, right? We're at the top floor, right? This is as high as we're going to go. Believe me, Karen, you're not going to find anybody in the judiciary, in the Jewish society, the Hebrew, the culture, the Old Testament belief system, any higher and more learned than these individuals. You will never pass this way again. Listen to these men. They're telling you the real deal. They're telling you the world in which you exist. This is how we are controlled. This is how the lawyers are controlled. This is how judgments are rendered. This is how settlements are paid out. This is how it works. You don't have to listen to the dumb younger brother. How about these old guys? They got 150, 160 years of experience combined. These men are very learned. They're not bullshitting you. They're telling you the time of day. That's why I figured I'd bring you up here, because these guys got nothing to hide. There's absolutely nothing we could do to them. They have no fear. They'll tell you the time of day. And I said, and so we got very lucky that these men just flat out told my sister. Here's what I already knew. So like I said, it's always, a lot of people do that. Even my own sisters, like, well, I want validation. I want somebody else to back up what you got to say. Okay, fine. That's not a problem. Here you go. So that's what makes this show great, is that instead of you people having to go hunt down this law firm down in Alabama, it's on the south side of the interstate. I don't remember exactly what exit it is, but as you leave the big highway exit, leave the big interstate, I think it's it's 85 or 85. It's off Interstate 85 in Alabama. It's on the south side of Interstate 85. It's like just before Interstate 85 ends. It's like the third exit before it ends. And there's a great big huge law firm down there. And if you look, Google it, there's like a Leibowitz, Cohan, and whatever. That's them. So, all right, Gus, yeah, keep going and tell them what the jury did. The prosecutor looked at the jury, and then he kind of like didn't know where to go because he refused to take the title of defendant.
Yeah, well, John, yeah, he wouldn't. He said, "Are you John Fall?" And he said, "Which one?" And he says, there's a lot of John Falls. And he says, well, the one that's the defendant in this case, he says, well, that's certainly not me. Nobody's presented me with a sworn statement accusing me of anything. And so John's timing was really cool. Before the guy could speak, he says, I hope you're not planning on saying otherwise. Come up here and take the, why don't you come? He just repeated the same stuff. Why don't you come up here and state on the record that there is a sworn accusation? Is that what you believe? Do you believe that there's a sworn accusation against me, that somebody's charging me with something? And he just kept hammering on the guy. This guy was punch drunk. He was just standing there, speechless, and right before he could say one more thing, John just gave him one more, small shot, and it was all over. He wasn't going anywhere, and the judge had John removed from the courtroom. He told he cut in. He told John, he says, the prosecutor has a right to cross-examine, and if you're not going to answer his questions, then your testimony can be stricken from the record. And John says, well, I believe I've provided a relevant answer until I see an accusation against me, sworn under penalties of perjury by a man or a woman. How do I know what that question relates to? I don't know if I'm dealing with Shirley Temple, King Kong. I have no idea who I'm dealing with. And the judge told him, as far as this court's concerned, you have not answered the question. And there's an order that says you're going to abide by the rules of the court. And John, right before the jury, I believe the jury was still there, said that order is not to me. That order is to John J. Fall. I am not John J. Fall. I am John Joseph Fall. So you have not made that order to me, and you've had a week to fix it. And,
John messed up. How John messed up, instead of saying I'm John Joseph Fall, said I am John J. Fall. I'm also Nip Pong Twong. I'm also da-da-da-da-da. But what this court has failed to do is establish jurisdiction that I am the defendant. That title I cannot take. I'm also called asshole, monkey face boy, butt breath. You can call me. There's many names that I will respond to, but I cannot respond and I cannot answer to the title of defendant until I know who my accuser is, who is bringing this case before the court. And he should have picked up the piece of paper and says, is this the plaintiff, the United States of America? Is this the plaintiff? And they would have had to say yes. When will the plaintiff appear? When do I get the chance to cross-examine my accuser? And the accuser is the United States of America. When will I get to meet the United States of America? How or by what means will the United States of America appear? On paper, pen, and ink, or in the flesh? How will I get to meet my accuser? Is there a man attached to the United States of America? Is there a man guiding or controlling the United States of America? Who is the man that's in control? If the United States of America is not a man, then who is in control of this entity? Who is in control? They say, well, it's Barack Obama. Then why isn't he here today to explain how I've done his little creation wrong? How I've done his baby wrong? Where's his sworn affidavit? Where's his sworn complaint? Where's his signature at the bottom of this complaint? Saying that if need be, he will appear in court and he will testify on behalf of his baby. Where's his signature? Who's the man? There's got to be a man in control. There's got to be a man in charge. Who's the man in charge? Say if it's Barack Obama, lovely. He seems like a very lovely man. And the only problem with this is all Barack Obama ever had to do was send me a letter, say, hey, you messed with my baby. You messed with my baby, and this is the damage that you caused. And this is what I'm going to require in compensation. That's all he had to do. I've been waiting for that letter like you've got no idea. I've been begging and pleading. Can somebody send me it? Somebody put it out of my statement of the bill. Can somebody put a list? Can somebody hand me the bill? Nobody will do it. What more do you people want from me? I want to cooperate. I want to answer questions. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's just part of the game. But John doesn't understand. He doesn't look at it the way I do. And it's just going to take a while for everybody to start seeing it the way I see it. That's all. Because still the people in the jury, you got to believe that they really believe there's something called the IRS. And they don't realize, like in Canada, the CRA changed its name 8 times in like 20 years. So if the IRS, they're like, oh, so you're messing with the IRS now. It's like, did anybody tell you on January 1st the IRS changed the name to RSI? Yeah, the Revenue Service, the income. They switched their letters around. They're not the IRS anymore, now the RSI or the SRI or the ISR. It's like, oh, so we're not afraid of the IRS anymore? No fear. You don't got to be afraid. You can go to sleep now. You don't got to suck your thumb and wet your pants anymore thinking the IRS is coming after you. Oh, good. No, now the SRI is coming after you. Oh, the SRI. Oh, my God. I'm in total abject fear and terror. But are you afraid of the IRS anymore? Nah, they're gone. No more fear. Yay, we're all free from the IRS. Oh, okay. So you thought you were, under control. The IRS control you. Oh, yeah. The IRS, man, they're powerful. There's a piece of paper. All they did was rearrange the letters on the paper. Now there's a new entity coming after you called SRI. Ain't you scared? Oh, hell yeah. I guess we should be. I don't know. I guess we better wait for the SRI to put a couple of people in jail until they're on CNN prosecuting Donald Trump and putting him in jail for 20 years. Then we better all be terrified of the SRI. Because right now, I'm not really afraid of SRI. What are they? Oh, they're a tax company. Oh, okay. Is your heart palpitating because they said the SRI is coming after you? Well, no. I guess you're going to have to wait for them to put a couple of bigwigs on trial and put them in jail for 20, 30 years. Then you'll be terrified of the SRI, won't you? Oh, yeah, then I'll really be scared. Because the SRI really has power then. Oh, really? Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah, they put Donald Trump in jail. It's just ridiculous. But like I said, at least John is trying to call them out as a man. And that's what I tell people. That's why I don't want to go to court and do it for people. You guys got to put in your own words. And you got to convince your fellow man, that this is what it's going to take. I'll be more than glad to answer any question, Judge. I said, who's asking the question? He says, prosecutors. No. You mean a man who's cloaked under the authority, under the color of law of a prosecutor. You mean a man's asking me a question, right? A man. Okay. Because I'm appearing here only as a man, right? This is like a special appearance. A special appearance by a man. I'll be more than glad to accept the title of person, defendant, if I know who and what I'm defending myself against. Like he said that if he did say King Kong, or am I against Tinkerbell or King Kong? Who am I up against? What is the, who or what is the definition, the description, the characteristic, the nature? How do you define the United States of America? That's all I'm asking. Which one? There's many United States. Which one? You got the United States of Mexico. The country south of the border here is called the United States of Mexico. Which United States is chasing me? It says the United States of America. Okay, Mexico is part of the American continent. Which United States? Who? Okay, let's just put in bottom line. Who's in control of these United States of America that's pursuing me? What is the name of the man? Oh, Barack Obama. Lovely. Is there some reason? When will he appear? Well, he won't. Is there some reasons why you can't summon him to appear? He's awfully busy. You mean like Bill Clinton and Paula Jones? When Paula Jones, that hotel clerk, summons him to appear down in Arkansas for flashing her? The United States Supreme Court told Bill Clinton, you, more than anybody else who works as a public servant, know your duties and obligation to man. When man summons you to appear, you appear. I don't care you got your finger on the nuclear button. I don't care that you're the king of the world. I don't care that you're the most powerful person on planet Earth. When man appears, no matter how lowly that man is, that man is still greater than the highest person on planet Earth. That man created the position and status of person. You answer to man, no matter how high, no matter how low, no matter how petty or how superior, you answer to man. because he created your office, your position, your status, your title. You owe a duty and obligation to man. So don't try to fucking tell me, well, I'm the greatest person. Dude, you are. You're the most powerful person on planet Earth. You're not the most powerful man, but you're the most powerful person. That's right. You're the most powerful man. That lowly Clark, just by the mere fact that she's a woman, that she's a man, she's so many light years ahead of you, powerful of you, in your status of that as a person. Like I always tell people, the King of England or the Queen of England. I love that, man. You can see, watch these Viceroyal Admiral of all the British East Indian Tea Company. Look at all the ribbons, and look at how big his hat is, and look at how many medals he's got in his chest. He walks before a 13-year-old king, and he was wearing a nightgown, and the 13-year-old king could say, strip this fucking 70-year-old guy, his royal viceroy of all the, strip him of all his titles. Strip him. And they will strip that 70-year-old man who put 50 years in a good service in the fucking country and they'll strip him down to nothing. They'll strip him to nothing. And it could be a 13-year-old king. So just because you think you're the greatest admiral, viceroy, 70-year-old guy, and you've been in your position and status as that person, and you were the strongest, you were in control of the admiralty of the British fleet that controlled the world, a little 13-year-old king in a bathrobe could strip you of all your titles. That little Paula Jones could strip him of all his titles. He's still a man. Bill Clinton is still obligated to not cause harm, injury, and loss to his fellow man, regardless of how high he's the supreme military admiralty of all the United States, and he controls the seas of the world. Yeah, he's great. Paula Jones is calling you. You got to go. Oh, no, look at all the medals. And I'm running the 6th Fleet right now through the Bay of Nanking, and you know what? And we got the Yellow Sea, and China's invading, Korea again. And Paula Jones is just so as you appear, buddy. What, you mean that hotel clerk who makes $7 an hour at Hotel 6? Yeah, that lady. What, because I mooned her when she came in the room? Yeah, I dropped my towel? Yeah. She wants you to answer why you did it. What made you think you could do that to her? Oh, come on, I do that to women all the time. It's just a joke. Oh, really? Well, you know what? She doesn't think it's a joke. You got to go down there and apologize. Oh, that's ridiculous. No, it's not ridiculous. So, like I said, it's funny. Like I said, once I'm just trying to teach people, like I said, what the Supreme Court taught the world in Gore versus Bush, and what the Supreme Court taught the world in Clinton versus Jones. And why it's Clinton versus Jones, I don't know. It should be Jones versus Clinton. I have no idea why they put Clinton's name first. I guess so it's easier for people to Google it, or they think, well, that's Clinton, so we got to put his name first. No, it's supposed to be Jones versus Clinton, because she never sued her. So, but like I said, I'm glad John put on a performance like he did, and maybe like I said, he's from New England, and maybe the way he performed, isn't the way I would perform, but maybe he knows the people in New England better than I do. Like I say, maybe an Eskimo knows how to talk to an Eskimo better than I do. So don't do it verbatim exactly the way I say it. Do it around the people that in front of you. If you see an Oriental crowd or a black crowd or a Hindi crowd or a Spanish crowd, okay, you got to communicate them on their level. If you see an Islamic crowd, you got to communicate them on that level. So hopefully John did great, because I can't say he did a great job or he did a terrible job. I mean, if this is, it sounds like he was competent. It sounds like he was, in control. And if this is how it takes for him to communicate with those people around him at that time, oh, well, I hope he did a hell of a job, because it's all a performance. So, like you said, what else? What were you saying, Gus, before all that? You were saying, John, yeah, it's funny. When I interrupt you, you should write down exactly what last thing you were talking about so you get back on track.
The judge pulled him out of the courtroom, and then it was towards the end of the day. It was only 10 minutes left. He likes to wrap up at 4:30. So what he told the jury is, we're just going to wrap it up. You guys go home. I remind you not to talk to anybody. Don't do any research on this. If the subject comes up in conversation, with family or friends, just don't engage in the conversation and change the subject and move on. And I'll see you here tomorrow morning at 9:30. So the next day, we got there, and John was brought in, and and just the thing he was talking about with his license. Before I continue there, when he walked in with his license, he was, we were in the car, and he's asking me. He says, "I don't get it." He says, "They keep treating me as a person, and I'm going in as a man, and they keep treating me as a person." And I said, "Well, one of the problems is that when you walk in, you identify yourself as the person. You give them this license, and they say, okay, the person is here." I said, that could be one thing. He said, "Well, they won't let me in if I don't give them my license." I said, "Okay, so you can give a note to the judge and say, I'm here, but they won't let the man in the building, and see what the judge does with that." So, it's just an observation.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and so he was a little nervous about doing that. I said, "Well, you don't have to do it this morning. You can leave the court tonight, and then tell them you forgot your jacket, your notebook, or whatever, and just go back in and see. You can try to do a dry run tonight and see how it works out." So we get to the courthouse, and he walks right up to the guy. He says, "I left my wallet in the car. I'm not coming in with any identification. I'm here as a man, and I will only enter this courthouse as a man." And the guy looked at him and said, "Well, John's been going to this courthouse a lot. So, long before he ever went to trial." So the guy, real nice guy, says to him, "Well, John," he says, "I'm going to need you to put that in writing so I can hand it to the judge."
Oh, that's great. So he did exactly what you told him to do.
Yep.
No, the security guard told John to do exactly what you told John to do. Put it in fucking writing.
Yeah, put it in writing.
That's what you told John to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank God John didn't do it, but now the security guard told him, and I bet you John did it.
Well, John pulled out a piece of paper, and he wrote on it.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, Gus. This is what pisses me off about the people we try to fucking help. They won't do it because we fucking tell them to do it. They'll do it because the $10 an hour fucking security guard guy tells them to do it. So all people are listening to me, Gus. I'm trying to drill into their fucking skulls. When me and Gus tell you to fucking do something, don't just say, because then you got a stupid security guard guy who just checks, people metal detector guy. He tells you to fucking do it. Oh, and you'll jump through the fucking hoop. So, no, it was great that you told John to do it, and John said, yeah, whatever. I got to yawn, Gus. I got to fart. Yeah, I got to pick my nose. Yeah, maybe, Gus. You see what I'm saying? It's just frustrating. You'll get more and more frustrated as years go on trying to help people when they just fucking totally just don't do what the fuck you tell them to do. But when somebody else tells them, oh, okay, then I'll do it.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier?
Yeah. But I say it with a little more vinegar. So anyway, the end of that story is that John put it in writing, and the guy turned it over, and somehow, we got upstairs, and we're sitting there watching it on video, and the very first thing in the morning that day, the judge says, on the record, I've been handed a notice from Mr. Fall stating that he's only entering this courthouse as a man and not as a person, and he read the whole notice, and then he says, I'm entering this as Exhibit A. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He's putting it... Wait a second. See, you didn't tell me all this.
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk. I've been in court all week.
Yeah, blood at your ass. No, that's great.
I know.
So that's Exhibit A. That's all I need. That's all John needs is Exhibit A. On appeal, everything else. There you go, Exhibit A. He's done. He never appeared, and everything other than a man.
Well, I told John, I said, I can't believe the judge did that. I said, I
can't believe John didn't know fucking to do that since the 15 minutes of talking to me. That's how frustrating this shit gets. It's like, now you see how important that notice is. Yeah. Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm done. Go on, man. You're doing fine.
All right. No, I thought you muted yourself out. I was giving you a chance to come back.
Yeah, fuck no.
Yeah, so the judge read it on the record, puts it in as Exhibit A. I looked at John. I said, I think the judge found a way to avoid liability. He put it right on the record. Let the prosecutor deal with this guy.
Yeah.
And,
now the jury's on the fucking hook. See, he should have done this a long motherfucking time ago, way before this fucking trial even fucking existed. Now the judge is saying, hey, look, it was out of my hands. You know, you let a whole bunch of crazy jury fucking people decide your fate. Now, sorry, you should have gave me this, a year and a half ago. Well, the judge is smarter than shit. You got no idea what that judge is fucking doing.
Oh, I've been watching him, and he's handled it, I mean, really, really well. You know, he goes head to head with John. He maintains decorum. Everybody's, respectful. John told the marshals, he says, look, I'm not, he says when somebody gets foreclosed on, they get this nasty letter, and they leave the house. They abandon. And he says, then the bank claims that they abandoned their property. And, this is something John and I were talking about, and I told him, I said, if you leave the courtroom of your own free will, then you are abandoning your claim. You're abandoning your defense. And, same as a foreclosure. So he was explaining this to the head security guy, that I can't abandon the courtroom. You're going to have to take me out. You're going to have to force me out. And I'm not going to make it difficult for you, but for the record, I need the record to show that I did not leave, of my own free will. So, he was talking to the guards, and he made sure everybody knew nobody's going to get hurt. I'm not going to be throwing punches or anything, but I need you to, to force me out. So, do what you got to do, but do it gently. So it was really cool to watch. There's just a lot of things that you see go down when you're there watching it, live, compared to reading a transcript.